And as usual, if you got follow-up questions, feel free to tell me. But what I want to show you is we got the sidebar here, right? And it already comes with some stuff. I think actually there's some finder preferences you can go through and adjust what it shows, right? So if you never use some of this stuff, you could turn it off. Like I don't use well, anyways, that's not what I wanted to show you. I want to show you what if you want to add something yourself. So for instance, let's say I'm doing a lot of work this month and using this Flourish template, and I'm gonna go into that folder a million times. I can take it and drag it over here, and let's see, it creates this little line between two spots. I'm gonna let go. Let's see, where'd that go? Yeah, so now it's right here, and that's just a shortcut to that folder, which is viewing as icons. I wonder as columns. And now it's on the sidebar. So anytime I open a new window, it'll be sitting there. And if I realize that was a horrible mistake, I can click on it and drag until it shows an X, and then it goes away everywhere. So let's say you can add to your sidebar, which is kind of nice. We're really kind of talking about how to get to different spots in your hard drive quickly, that kind of stuff, right? And also different applications. So some people like to use Launchpad, which is probably in your dock down here. That's what we call this thing. Obviously pretty helpful. A lot of people like to use Spotlight. And this sounds silly because Spotlight sounds like something you'd use to just search your hard drive. Like, what was that thing I did where it was about evolution? I'll search evolution and see if I can find it. That's what we would think we're doing, right, with Spotlight. But what a lot of people use Spotlight for is to actually launch an application. Now, it doesn't make sense, if I wanted to launch the App Store, if I click up here and start typing App Store, that'll work. But I'm going from the mouse or trackpad to then the keyboard. So I think what a lot of people do is use the shortcut. So here's a shortcut for Spotlight, which again, we normally use to find apps. It's Command Spacebar. I was gonna call it Command Shortcut. And let me do that again. So with the Finder active, I'm going to hold on Command and hit the spacebar. You can see it's basically just launching that little dialog that we had open a minute ago. So if I start typing App Store, well, I don't have to. I'll just hit Enter, and it'll launch it. So at this point, I'm using QuickTime. I'm using the App Store. I've got a few other things open, like my email. And the Finder is its own application, basically. You can see what's active right now by this little kind of title up here that's always been there. But there's a quick way to switch between apps that I also wanted to show you. Again, totally optional. But if you hold down that same Command key and hit the Tab key, it's going to not only show you all the applications you're running, but if you keep hitting Tab, you can cycle through them. And so you'll see people that do this really quickly, especially if they're just switching between two things. So here's what I mean. I'm on the App Store. Let me go to Google Chrome. And if you look up in the corner, it says Google Chrome is the active thing. Now if I go Command Tab again, you'll see App Store is highlighted automatically. So all I had to do is do Command Tab and let go, and now App Store is active. So when you're going back and forth, let's say you're going back and forth from Photoshop to your, I don't know, Atom or something. That's a great shortcut. And that's my phone. But okay, I've only got one more thing to show you. So let me, is that true? Yeah, well, kinda. Let me show 1.5. Here's one more thing I want to show you. If you want to get information on something, either a file, a folder, or a hard drive, you can use that same button, that command button, and do Command I when it's highlighted. So there's a piece of text, here's a folder, here's my hard drive. It will tell you the permissions, which is to say who's allowed to do stuff. Hopefully you. Let's see, most of this is boring, and then in the case of a hard drive, it'll tell you how much space is available on it, how big the whole thing is. Same with a folder, basically, how much it's taken up. And same with a file, what default application it would launch with and how to change that. So again, that's Command I to get info on a file if you're unsure about anything. That was the half thing I wanted to show you. The last thing I want to show you is how to install apps. Now I realize if you are actually new to all this stuff and this video is helpful, then it probably also feels like I'm going too fast. But my idea here is to make a relatively quick video so you can rewind and watch whatever part you need to. I launched Google Chrome. That's my default browser. It doesn't really matter. You can use Safari, the default. We'll use all the browsers in the fall. And what I want to do is install a program called Atom. So if I just type in, it looks like it remembers, atom.io. I believe this is cross-platform, so you can see it says Mac OS and download. Well, I think if I went here on a PC, it would automatically detect. And if that I was on a PC and give me the proper installation option. What I really want to show you here, we are going to use Atom in the fall. So you can go ahead and install it if you're following along with me. But I want to show you, how do you install an application? Like, I just hit download, right? What happened? Where did it go? Well, you can see I've got the show all button in the bottom of my browser, but that's just showing it to me in this weird downloads folder, I don't know, in the browser. So it's got a show in Finder, and then it'll actually bring me to it. So there it is. Where is that? That's where we saw earlier, your Mac hard drive, users, your folder, and then downloads. And I don't know about y'all, but my downloads folder is a mess. Now, I know that it was pretty easy to get to this file a minute ago by hitting show in Finder. But let's say we're in a situation like this where it's like, okay, I have this folder and I'm looking for something, and then look, it's huge, right? And let's say I don't know like what the name of the file is. How am I going to find this? Well, I'm going to change that view you were talking about earlier to list. Because one thing that's cool about list is you can add or remove and adjust and sort by these columns. So I'm actually doing control, holding down the control key and clicking on like this little kind of like sub nav area is. And you can see I could add other stuff, right? So like date modified. Now I did that, and let's say I sort by date modified. You can see the very first file, the most recently modified, is this one that we were looking for. So that might save you some time in the future. What do we do with this file? It's a zip file. You might have heard of one of those. If I double click it, it's going to expand. A zip is just a way of compressing a file or a group of files. There's an archive utility built into, I believe, both operating systems now. Okay, so we did all that. And now I've got two things. So it gave birth to another file. What do I do with all this stuff? Okay, this is an app, and I know that because we can read its extension, which makes that really easy to understand, right? But if we didn't turn on the extensions earlier, we wouldn't see that. Where do I want this? It's in my downloads folder. I do not want to leave it there. I want it in my applications folder. I'm going to drag it over and let go. I already have Atom. I'm just going to update it. Well, that leaves one more question. What about this thing? Do I need this? Is it important? No and no. So how do we throw it out? Well, your trash can's down here. If you're adept with the mouse, you can drag it down there. But I'm going to hold down Control and click it and just move to trash. So you can see this Control button once you get used to it. If you're coming from like a PC world, like I did long ago, it's kind of like a right mouse button. So holding down Control and clicking on anything, it's going to give you some options like launching the file on a different application. There's Get Info, that thing we did before. And if we, for instance, chose to compress it, it's actually going to make a zip file. Let me throw that guy out. Okay, so we've gone through the basics of how to download and install something, but I did skip over one thing. Some of you, if you were following along with me and installing Atom, you might have gotten an error, especially if you have a newer Mac. And the error says you don't have permission to like install things that aren't from the App Store. Well, you do. It's your computer, but you have to change that setting. So this throws people off early on. So I went to my system preferences, which is that gear. Remember, if you don't know where something is, just do Spotlight. Let's see, it's Command Spacebar, System Preferences. What is it that we want to adjust here? Well, the categories here can be really kind of off-putting, but if memory serves, what we want to do is go into security and privacy. By the way, you can search up here. So I oftentimes will look through this and not see the thing I'm looking for 10 times. So I'll just type in privacy, and, well, you can't really see it, but what it's doing is graying out everything else. Let's see, I'll do it for general. You see a general is available there. Or if I do like update for software update, it's highlighting that. So even if you can't find it, you can type it in. I'm going to security and privacy. And I guess right here from general, it says allow apps downloaded from App Store, and what you need to do is change that to App Store and identify developers, right? Now, I can't edit that, right? It's grayed out. That's because it's locked. So, click the lock. If you've got a Mac from the last 3 years or so, 4 years, you should be able to do touch unlock. Otherwise, you'll have to remember your password. And now I should be able to, you would be able to adjust this, I would believe. Let's see, I don't think I need to do that. Restart a screen, I'm not gonna do that right now. Anything else useful in here? I don't think so. Yeah, all right. Yeah, so let's see, I could close this as well, and I believe we've covered all the major stuff. Now again, I know I've left some stuff out, and if I raise any questions that I didn't cover, I apologize. Just reach out to me and I'll see you all soon.